Hamas tortures, protester to death, a brutal crackdown on dissent in Gaza. The cries of the oppressed are often silenced by the iron fist of tyranny. Today, we expose a chilling act of brutality, the torture and murder of Uday Al Rabbay, a Gazan protester, by Hamas. This is not just a tragedy, it's a stark reminder of the human cost of unchecked power and the desperate fight for freedom of expression. Give a like and subscribe, leave a comment. Rare public demonstrations have erupted in Gaza, a testament to the growing discontent simmering beneath the surface of a war-torn land. The ongoing conflict with Israel has brought unimaginable devastation, and the rising civilian casualties have fueled a wave of anger directed at Hamas. This anger has manifested in protests, a dangerous act of defiance in a territory controlled by a group known for its iron grip. These protests, though small, represent a significant shift in public sentiment, a desperate plea for change amidst the rubble. Hamas stands accused of torturing and killing Uday Al Rabbay simply for daring to raise his voice in protest. This act, if confirmed, is a blatant violation of human rights and a chilling message to anyone considering dissent. The ultimate act of cruelty. Al Rabbay's lifeless body was allegedly left at his family's doorstep, a gruesome warning to silence any further opposition. This is not just murder, it's a calculated act of terror designed to crush the spirit of a people. Uday Al Rabbay was reportedly kidnapped after participating in one of these rare anti-Hamas protests. His disappearance sent a wave of fear through the community, a grim reminder of the potential consequences of speaking out. Days later, the worst fears were realized. Al Rabbay was returned to his family, not alive and well, but dead and bloody, a horrifying testament to the brutality he endured. Mazen Shat, a Fatah-affiliated police officer, has publicly condemned the killing, adding weight to the accusations against Hamas. His words resonate with the pain and anger felt by many Gazans. Shat described Al Rabbay as a martyr, a man who sacrificed his life for the simple act of speaking out against injustice. This powerful statement underscores the gravity of the situation and the courage it takes to dissent under Hamas rule. The accusation is that Al Rabbay suffered 4 hours of unimaginable torture at the hands of Hamas. This alleged act of barbarity paints a picture of a regime willing to use extreme violence to silence its critics. Images allegedly depicting Al Rabbay's body reveal the extent of his suffering: open wounds, deep bruising, and grotesque swelling. These images, if verified, are a damning indictment of Hamas's methods. Shat further alleges that Hamas dragged Al Rabbay's body to his home, a final act of intimidation designed to send a chilling message to his family and the wider community. This is not justice, it's a reign of terror. Sam Habib, a Gazan exile, highlights the significance of these protests, noting that they are the first large-scale demonstrations since Hamas seized control in 2007. This underscores the level of fear that has gripped the territory for years. Previous protests were quickly and brutally suppressed, a consequence of the well-founded fear of violent crackdowns by Hamas. This history of repression makes the current protests all the more remarkable and courageous. Habib vehemently condemns the restriction of protest and the killing of Al Rabbay, emphasizing the fundamental right of Gazans to express their views freely. This right, enshrined in international law, is being brutally violated by Hamas. He emphasizes that violent crackdowns on protesters are criminal and unacceptable, a clear condemnation of Hamas's actions, and a call for accountability. The world must not stand idly by while these atrocities occur. Hamas's rise to power began with a victory in the 2006 parliamentary elections, a moment that initially signaled a shift in Palestinian politics. However, their rule has been marked by conflict, repression, and a growing disconnect from the needs of the people. Following the October 7th attacks on Israel, Hamas initially experienced a surge in support, fueled by a sense of resistance against Israeli occupation. This support, however, has proven to be fleeting. The devastating war that followed has eroded public opinion, with polls showing a significant decline in support for Hamas amidst the widespread destruction and loss of life in Gaza. The people are weary of war and yearn for peace. The protests followed the collapse of a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, a breakdown that plunged Gaza back into a cycle of violence and despair. The civilians are the ones who suffer the most. Israel renewed its airstrikes on Gaza, resulting in even more civilian deaths and further exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. The innocent are caught in the crossfire, their lives shattered by the relentless conflict. Civilians are desperately trying to rebuild their lives amidst the rubble, clinging to hope in the face of unimaginable adversity. Their resilience is a testament to the human spirit, but they cannot endure this forever. A growing desire for an end to the war is palpable among Gazans, a yearning for peace and stability that has been denied to them for far too long. They deserve the chance to live in dignity and security. Hamza Hawadi, another Gazan exile, shares his harrowing experience of being tortured and imprisoned by Hamas for protesting. His story is a chilling reminder of the brutal tactics employed to silence dissent. Hamas often resorts to accusing murdered protesters of being collaborators, a tactic used to justify their actions and demonize those who dare to speak out against them. This is a cynical attempt to control the narrative and maintain their grip on power. Reports suggest that at least 6 others have been killed and labeled as collaborators, a disturbing pattern that points to a systematic campaign of repression. These are not isolated incidents, they are part of a larger strategy. Hawadi recounts the torture and humiliation he endured in Hamas prison, a brutal initiation designed to break his spirit and silence his voice. His testimony is a powerful indictment of the regime's cruelty. He describes his welcome gift in prison as physical abuse and psychological torment, a deliberate attempt to inflict pain and suffering. This is not justice. It's a violation of basic human dignity. Hamas has expressed a willingness to release hostages in exchange for prisoners held by Israel, a potential pathway to de-escalation and a glimmer of hope for those held captive. However, significant obstacles remain. Hamas refuses to disarm, a red line for the group that underscores their commitment to armed resistance. This stance remains a major point of contention in any potential peace negotiations. Netanyahu has demanded that Hamas disarm and its leaders leave Gaza, a condition that is unlikely to be met and that perpetuates the cycle of conflict. This hardline approach offers little hope for a lasting solution. Israel continues to increase pressure on Hamas, both militarily and politically, further intensifying the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and pushing the region closer to the brink. The consequences of this escalation are dire. Conclusion and call to action. The torture and murder of Uday Al Rabbay is a stain on humanity. It is a stark reminder that the fight for freedom of expression is far from over. We cannot stand idly by while Hamas silences dissent through violence and intimidation. The world must hold Hamas accountable for its actions and demand an immediate end to the repression of the Gazan people. We urge you to take action, contact your elected officials, and demand that they condemn Hamas's human rights abuses. Support organizations working to protect human rights in Gaza. Share this video to raise awareness and amplify the voices of the oppressed. Donate to organizations providing humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. Let us stand in solidarity with the Gazan people and demand justice for Uday Al Rabbay and all those who have been silenced by Hamas. Their fight for freedom is our fight. Let us not fail them.